Welcome to Simple Governance. I'm Trey Harper, District Superintendent of the Capitol River District. In Acts chapter 6, the apostles are faced with a problem in making sure that all of the widows, both Jew and Gentile, are treated fairly. They choose a group of men and delegate the work, so they can continue to focus on teaching and preaching and praying. Thus, church administration was born. Simple governance, put simply, is the way the general church gives the local church permission to organize the way it needs to best accomplish the work of the kingdom. Paragraph 247.2 of the 2020-2024 Book of Discipline gives the authority to self-organize to the charge conference, the district superintendent, and the pastor when circumstances arise where the traditional committee structures just are not effective or efficient. Those reasons may be membership size, the work needed, a lack of resources, or my favorite reason, that other circumstances so require. That simply means follow the Spirit and be faithful to your people and context. You are free to organize as needed, provided you do the required work of the church as referenced in paragraph 243. So what does paragraph 243 require? First, you must cover the administrative needs of the church, namely property, money, and staff. We know that as trustees, finance, and PPRC, the Pastor Parish Relations Committee. Second, you must cover the ministry needs of the church, or what we fondly call NOW, or NOW, for nurture, outreach, and witness. The Board of Trustees is tasked with the management, use, support, repair, and replacement, construction, and acquisition for all real property and facilities. The Finance Committee is tasked with stewarding the church's financial resources, audits, budgets, and fundraising for ministry and capital projects. The Staff Parish Relations Committee is tasked with serving as the liaison between the leadership and the congregation, setting job descriptions, salaries, and personnel administration and education. Nurture ministries are the ways we care for and disciple ourselves. Christian education, hospitality, maybe visitation. Outreach ministries are the ways we care for others outside the walls of the church. This is what most folks think of as missions or community-focused ministries. Witness ministries are the ways we share our story and the gospel. These things include evangelism, communications, and the way we build and care for our reputation in the community. So now that we know what's expected to do as the local church in the community, let's look at 3 ways we can simplify the way we do things. For our smallest churches, this is what we call the NOW structure. Instead of lots of committees, you have one committee with a person to represent each of the required ministry areas. It might look something like this. One person represents nurture, one for outreach, and one for witness. Then we have one person for finance, one for trustees, and one for PPRC. Finally, we have our pastor, who doesn't vote, our lay leader, our lay member to annual conference, and a chairperson. That's it. Just 10 people, and everyone shares the leadership, and everyone shares the work. For instance, we have a trustees matter that needs to be handled. The trustees representative becomes the chair of the meeting, and now everyone else is a member of the board of trustees. That person leads. Everyone supports. A decision is made. Now we move to the next item. Perhaps this one is about an upcoming special worship service. Worship is under nurture, so the nurture representative takes charge, and everyone becomes a member of the nurture committee. If it is the work of the administrative council, the chair leads and everyone votes. If it's the work of nominations, then the pastor leads and everyone votes. One meeting, one group, all the work is handled. Now the fun part, the execution of ministry. That trustee project that we just approved, the trustee representative now calls on anyone and everyone in the church who is needed for the work. The leaders don't do the work. Leaders recruit whoever is needed. Sometimes in the church we call this being voluntold for ministry. Simple governance frees our congregations from spending all our time meeting about ministry to now doing ministry. Now, let's say our church has a special project or a special ministry that is very important and deserves perhaps required special attention. You have a growing youth ministry, or maybe a special legacy ministry like a food bank or a special community event. Or maybe your worship has a whole team of folks who create and support the Sunday morning experience. In that case, we simply add a leader as needed. We call this a single board model. Everything functions as we've already discussed, with rotating leadership and participation, and now we add space for that special ministry. So when we need to talk about an item for our youth ministry, the youth representative takes charge, and we all become the youth committee. I bet you're starting to get the hang of this now, but let's offer one more option. If you are serving a larger church, you have the opportunity to expand your ministry and to introduce the values of apprenticeship and shared leadership. For this, we turn to what we call the leadership team model. Everything looks and operates as before, but for our required administration, trustees, finance, and PPRC, and our required ministries, nurture, outreach, and witness, we introduce a second representative and 4-year rotating classes. The representatives in the first 2 classes serve as the leads. Their partners in the second 2 classes watch and learn and then become the leader when the other rolls off. We also encourage the church to set term limits for the standard members, like the lay leader and chair as well. This model allows us to introduce new people and new ideas while maintaining continuity and institutional memory. So now you're all thinking, how quickly can I simplify my church's structures? Yes, simple governance is a great tool, but I do have a few warnings. First, leadership fatigue. It is important to have term limits and allow even our most seasoned leaders a break. Second, leadership isolation. People often get scared that this kind of restructuring means a small group will have all the power. This can be combated by the transparency and clear communications. We don't have secrets. Third, leadership disconnect. Communicate, communicate, communicate. Everyone who is in the church needs to know what is happening. Fourth, leadership monotony. Be creative. Never put ministry on autopilot. Fifth, leadership without loving. Take care of your souls and be disciples first and leaders second. Finally, beware of leadership without learning. No matter how smart you are, there are always new things to learn. And don't be scared to borrow ideas from others. One final word. Make this your own. The very best structure is the one that is true to your people, your resources, and your context. Be who God and your community needs you to be. Don't let structure keep you from serving and sharing the gospel. For more information, contact your district office. Be blessed and keep it simple.